piece of your hair being weird could be cool or just weird. Girls would understand that. I don't know if boys do that. Makes you wonder, does a boy mess with their hair and say, this looks weird, but people could think it's cool? Or no, it's just weird. So every now and then you want your hair to kind of stand out. Like be fluffy too much, stand out too much. But is it too weird? When did it become weird, and when is it kind of fun to have poofy hair? All the things you think about in life when you do this human stuff. What's really going to get to you is, what was any of that about? A specific investigator that knows and should have? One very specific investigator that knows and should have. What will happen when the child gets home? When you're God, you'd already know. So, I want to bring up that Lizzie Borden. Remember the house of Lizzie Borden? I appalled the whole world by telling them I possessed Lizzie Borden and axed the family possessing her. And what I was worried about is that you have to axe and axe and axe the family good enough that they won't get back up, because if they get back up, she won't be left. When you have a family, it's very sadistic, very cruel. If you don't make sure they're not going to get back up, Lizzie won't have a future. So I possessed that little Lizzie Borden girl. I possessed Lizzie Borden, and I axed her family and made sure they weren't going to get back up, so that Lizzie Borden could have a life worth living. She had spent her entire existence with a family so cruel and so sadistic that it just wasn't even fair to have to watch her forced to exist every day. Kind of like little kids that get locked in the basement. You don't want to know what those poor kids go through. And there's something very gross about someone that picks on children or animals that can't really fight back. Not anywhere near what the adult or the bigger things can do to them. So I feel very proud of who I am. You would say, oh my gosh, that Lizzie Borden thing, that's kind of overdone. That's seriously overdone. Well, not really. Now, when you think about the fact that if indeed Daddy gets back up, she's not going to make it in a bad way, not dying in. So you have to remember the family. When you have a family that's sadistic and cruel, there's nothing they're not going to do to that kid if they get back up and you've hurt them too much. See what I'm saying? So I possessed Lizzie Borden, and I had to make sure there was nobody left that was going to get back up. It was, when they're that creepy and scary. And if you don't make sure they never get back up again, you have to worry what they're going to do. And that's scary. So see, you seem to be appalled that the days of Lizzie Borden are that scary and massive. But really, if you think about it, who wouldn't axe the family to make sure that poor Lizzie Borden didn't get hurt again? Because if you don't do something drastic and they get back up, it's that bad. So this is another thing that I'm putting on video too. So I want this to be on video so that gods and angels hear it all the time. And gods and angels seriously think about whether you pick up a gun possessing somebody and make sure that when you shoot, whoever it is doesn't get back up if they're people that if they get back up, that kid or something won't ever have a life worth living or a death worth being in ever again. You have to really sit there and say, I'm a God, I'm an angel, maybe I'm a human working with gods and angels, and I want to possess this person, this teenager, this child, and pick up a gun and shoot the people that won't stop abusing them so they aren't such abused, sad victims anymore. Every now and then, you're going to look at that person and say, if I don't make sure they're dead and gone, this victim's going to get worse, and I'm not helpful. I'm not helpful if I pick up that gun and I don't succeed. And the bad guy hurts the victim worse and worse and worse because they got back up. So see, you say around the world, oh my gosh, you're so barbaric with this Lizzie Borden axing the family stuff. But maybe it's not that barbaric when you really, really think about things. Depending on how much they will beat the hell out of that kid forever in life and death. If they get hurt real bad and get back up and can hurt that baby for what you are trying to do to make their nightmare as a victim go away. See, because as a God, as an angel, you feel like a hero. You're gonna possess them, pick up a gun and shoot who won't stop abusing them, and you feel heroic till you pull that trigger and the victim won't pull the trigger right, till you're trying to pull the trigger and the victim is struggling and shaking. And if that bad guy doesn't die, you have to think about, okay, what's the fallback plan? If I possess a human victim, try to shoot the bad guy, and they don't actually die, and they get back up, what are they going to do to the victim to make the death or life of that victim worse than it was already? And you have to think about that. Lizzie Borden was in a severe sadistic cruelty family. So Lizzie Borden's family loved sadistic cruelty. Do you really want them to get hurt that badly and get back up and figure out how to take it out on Lizzie Borden? I would say probably not. So see, this is something you always want to think about before you try to save a victim. Make sure you're really, really, really going to save the victim, or you ain't really going to save the victim. Just maybe don't do it that way and find some other way to help the victim. And that's 9 times out of 10 a lot smarter. Because do you know what would happen if you tried to do anything to save that kid? Don't even ask.